NFL Week 2 is here, and I got a 1.5 unit play of the week. Let's freaking go! What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I'm your host, Steven. It is Week 2 in the NFL, baby. I am freaking jacked up. That's right. Before I get into anything, I want to let you know we have that video from OddsJam giving out their 3 best bets for Week 2. You are going to want to listen to it, especially those of you that like to skip over the OddsJam part. You're going to want to listen. It's another handicapper. He's going to give advice and help. It's going to be awesome. So, 8-6 in week 1. We'll take it. Up 1.65 units. Not a bad start to the week, thanks to a 2-0 Monday Night Football. That's for sure. Just a reminder: Saturday morning's video. We'll have the NFL player props for week 2. We're going to give you fantasy advice, defense versus position stats, and things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that, just like we had last weekend. And of course, we got a big show for you today, especially this first segment. Hopefully, you guys stay and stick around for this one. It is going to be the week 2 trends and info. I got 2 pages of it. It's a lot of interesting information, give you some better angles at different bets for week 2. It's going to be awesome. Then we got that OddsJam video with their 3 best bets. I'll give you the best and worst run defenses, the best and worst pass defenses, both from week 1 of the NFL. That's all we got for stats right now. And then the Thursday night preview, and I have 3, that's right, 3 best bets for the Vikings and the Eagles game. That's right, baby, it is almost here. And then we finish it with the best bets. I'll have Ryan on, talk about his best bets, and then we end it with what we have to do. It is the head-to-head game between me and Ryan again. Man, do I need a win after that rough loss last week. I'm going to try to go to 1-1, not let Ryan go 2-0. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Smash that freaking like button, please. That's all we ask. Smash the like button. Leave a comment below. It really helps the algorithm, helps our channel grow, and that's all we ask of you guys. So thank you so much for the support. And here we go. It is time to get in to the Week 2 trends. All right, here we go. NFL Week 2 trends and info. This may be my favorite part of researching sports, to be honest with you guys. We got some interesting angles, and I think trends and spotting the schedule and all that kind of stuff really matter compared to MLB, which is every day. That first one, guys, since the start of 2014, teams that lost by 10 plus points in week 1 have covered the spread about 63% of the time the following week. And those are the teams that fit that criteria: Houston, Carolina, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Indy, Chicago, Seattle, and the Giants. Last season, those teams in that criteria went 6-0 straight up and 5-1 against the spread. That is right, in week 2. Other than that, guys, there's some interesting ones. I got some for specific teams and all that. Road teams did cover the spread in 12 of 16 week 1 games, just to let you know. And the unders went 12-4. Mike Vrabel, we know he's a good underdog coach. We've talked about that before. How about John Harbaugh, 17-4 against the spread as a road underdog? That is freaking impressive. Browns losing 19 straight regular season games in Pittsburgh. Holy crap, that's wild. But yeah, that's page 1. Let's go to page 2. There we go. Jags 5-0 straight up and against the spread last season as a home underdog, and they host the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. If you guys like to bet quarters, we have a couple here. We got the first quarter over is 15-6 in the last 21 Bills games. And then we also got the Titans games have gone under in the fourth quarter total in 17 of the last 18. That's pretty crazy to be almost 100%. So something to think about. Giants 6-0 against the spread after a loss, and they now face the Arizona Cardinals. Interesting one also, just coach to coach. Shanahan 9-3 straight up and against the spread versus Sean McVay. And then you think the Patriots and Bill Belichick are just awesome as underdogs and things like that. They're getting points. I got to get it. But Patriots 2-9 against the spread last 11 games as a home underdog. There's just a lot here, guys. I'm so jacked up if you can't tell. I love the stats. I love the trends. Steelers have won 20 straight Monday night games at home. So the Browns have lost 1 million in Pittsburgh in a row, and the Steelers have won 20 straight Monday night games at home, and the Steelers are slight underdogs in that game, which is pretty crazy. So, but yeah, those are the 2 pages, guys. And only one I didn't mention, Saints games have gone under in 10 of the last 11 games, which is pretty crazy. I think that's a low total in this game too. But those are the 2 pages for the week 2 trends. Now it's time for the best bets with OddsJam. All right, who is ready for some best bets from OddsJam? He's going to also talk about a few things with OddsJam that can help you make some money on the website. It's pretty awesome. So, without any more waiting, let's kick it to Randall at OddsJam.
Hey, Stephen, appreciate you having me on your show this week. I know I was supposed to be here last week, had some things come up. So appreciate you having me on this week. Going to talk about some NFL games for week 2, one of my favorite weeks that there are in the NFL. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, just wanted to talk about OddsJam briefly. OddsJam has a variety of tools for sports bettors that can help you make money. While betting on sports, whether that's through EV betting, arbitrage, which is risk-free money. So, you could essentially take both sides of a game. Let's say New England minus 6.5 against Arizona plus 6.5. If New England was minus 110 on one sports book and Arizona was, let's say, plus 120 on another sports book, you could bet both of those sides, make risk-free money. So OddsJam offers a 7-day trial. If you want to do that, you can go to oddsjam.com. You can start that trial. You can email me if you have any questions, Randall at oddsjam.com. Happy to help you out and answer any questions that you've got. I started out doing arbitrage betting, made a little over $15,000 with this exact same software. So definitely money to be made. It's risk-free, which, in this day and age, nothing is free, but arbitrage literally is risk-free money. So check out OddsJam. If you have any questions, like I said, shoot me an email. Happy to help you out. But going to go ahead, jump right into these week 2 games. 3 games this week that I'm looking at. Again, as I said, this is one of my favorite weeks to bet in the NFL. It's all about the overreactions to week 1. If you've watched SportsCenter, ESPN, whatever the case is, you've seen it. If you listen to the media, this team's down and out. This team's the best team ever. So we're going to hopefully take advantage of some of those overreactions to week 1. And the first game that I'm looking at, Seattle against Detroit. Seattle was plus 2.5 in this game prior to losing to the Rams and also prior to the Lions defeating the Super Bowl champs on Thursday Night Football. This line is now 6. I think it's a huge overreaction. I'm going to take Seattle this week. You can get plus 6 at a couple of different books right now. If you're interested in taking the Lions, you can get 5.5 at some books right now as well. But I like Seattle here, plus the 6. Huge overreaction, 3.5-point line move. And that's solely because Seattle lost to the Rams in a game that they were expected to win. So like Seattle there, plus the points. The other game that I'm looking at is the Monday night game. Pittsburgh against the Browns. That line is Cleveland minus 2.5 right now. That line actually opened Pittsburgh minus 1. That was also the look-ahead line. Pittsburgh got smoked by San Francisco. Cleveland took it to Cincinnati. I love the Steelers in this spot, plus the 2.5. Again, another overreaction. 3.5 points of line movement here as well. So I'm going to be on the Steelers Monday Night Football plus the 2.5. Like the money line there as well. And then my favorite game of the week, and this one is one that I'm going to take a little bit of the money line also, and that's the Jets plus 9.5 against the Cowboys. Cowboys could not have looked better. 40-0 on Sunday Night Football, prime time against the Giants. Not much more to be said about that. We all know what happened with Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback ever, according to Twitter, according to the media, according to ESPN, whatever media outlet is you listen to. The Jets just cannot do this with Zach Wilson. They have to go out and find another quarterback. Well, I don't agree with that. Wilson, he was average on Monday night, 14 for 21, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Looked better than Josh Allen, who had 3 picks. I think the Jets defense keeps them in this game. I can tell you Dallas is not scoring 40 points. I actually think that Dallas may be held under 20 points. And if that's the case, which I think it will be, the Jets plus 9.5 is a nice bet. So I like the Jets here plus 9.5. I think they are very live in this game. I think they can win this game. I actually believe the Jets can start out 4-0, and I think they lose that game week 5 against Denver. So circle that one. I'll be looking at Denver in that game. But those are my 3 plays this week. Jets plus 9.5, Seattle plus 6, and the Steelers plus 2.5. So appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully I can see you later in the year.
Thanks, Randall, for hopping on. I appreciate the support and the sponsorship. Be sure to use that promo code Jaguar 25% off. If you want, go use that 7-day free trial like he talked about. You can reach out to him, reach out to me. We can both help you out, and let's win together. That's right. All right, it is time for the best and worst run defenses. All right, guys, there's not a lot of stats out there yet, but I wanted to show you the best and worst run defenses from week one. We will get into other stats as the year goes on, like quarterback pressures, because I think that's important in a football game, and some other things like that. And we'll have more on the Friday night video, too, with defenses versus certain positions, fantasy help, and all that. But for right now, the best run defenses from week one, 49ers gave up 41 rush yards to the Steelers. That's right. Buccaneers were pretty impressive. Some of these didn't play the most elite run offenses, but I will say the Chargers giving up 70 rush yards is a big plus for them. That is a good sign because they were really bad, a bottom 5 run defense last year. So that's a good start for them, that's for sure. The Rams, 85 yards to the Seahawks. They obviously played us pretty well. We lost our 2 O tackles, but, it is what it is. Eagles, also impressive, holding Ramondre Stevenson in that backfield to 76 rush yards. And then Titans are always good against the run. And Jaguars against the Colts. But yeah, those are the top 10 run defenses. Let's go to the bottom 10. Let's see who struggled. Holy crap, Dolphins. 234 rush yards. They allowed 2 running backs to go for about 200 yards on their own. I mean, it is bonkers. The Chargers, by the way, were one of the worst run offenses last season. So to see that was just not a good sign for the Dolphins. It would worry me if I was a Dolphins fan, but it's just 1 week, so we'll see. Texans, they struggled against the run again because they usually do, but they are very good against the pass. But still, 23rd is actually improvement for them. And then other than that, the Bills struggled. Brees Hall ran all up and down the field on them. The Giants struggled against the Cowboys. Cowboys also ran the ball a lot because, they were up by a million. Packers did not do well at all, and neither did the Panthers against the run. Other than that, the Chiefs, I think, will get better, especially with Chris Jones in the lineup. And yeah, so there you go. Those are the bottom 10 run defenses from week one. And now let's move on to the best and worst pass defenses. All right, these are the top 10 pass defenses from week one. And you're going to notice a trend, obviously. The teams that gave up the least amount of pass yards are teams that usually get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And that included the number 1 team, the Cowboys. They didn't let Daniel Jones even think out there. And you see the Giants on there too. That game did not have good weather also. But yeah, both of them did not give up a ton of pass yards. And then other than that, the Panthers and Browns. Browns were all over Joe Burrow. 67 pass yards. I think you take sacks into effect in that number. Burrow just was not ready to play. And then the Bills, 117 pass yards against the Jets, which was Zach Wilson. So, take that for what it is. They did get run all over. But other than that, some teams that you kind of expect to be up here: Giants, Patriots, Bengals. Bengals are usually pretty decent in the pass defense. Panthers didn't play a great opponent, but you know what? 91 pass yards is still very impressive. So we don't need to talk about the Rams against my Seahawks. But let's go to the bottom 10 pass defenses from week one. The Los Angeles Chargers, 466 pass yards to Tua and that Dolphins offense. Again, it's only week one. We're going to have a lot more info as the week goes on, or as the year goes on. The Seahawks struggle again because they are a team that could not get any pressure. We will talk about that later on in this video also. But other than that, a lot of these teams just did not get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. The Bears did not at all. The Lions gave up 226 to Pat Mahomes. That's not terrible. They played a decent game there. And then, yeah, the Chiefs did struggle against the Lions in that Thursday night football game as well. So, anyways, those are the bottom 10 pass defenses in week one. And now it is time to get into Thursday night football. All right, Thursday night football takes us out to Philadelphia as the defending NFC champions host the Minnesota Vikings. We got the Eagles minus 6.5 with an over-under of 49 points. I got 3 best bets in this game, and I'll get to that in just a second. But the Eagles played the Vikings last year and put an absolute beatdown on them in prime time, 24-7. The Eagles in week one, they didn't look very good. I'm going to be honest. Yes, they won. They got 16 points off of turnovers. But Jalen Hurts, he had a 36.4 QBR, which would have been his 3rd worst last season. That's how bad it was. And also, they gave up over 300 passing yards to Mac freaking Jones. That's right. The turnovers were the key, obviously. The Eagles, though, we know they can do this. They put 39.7% pressure on the Mr. Mac Jones and the Patriots last week, which is the fourth highest pressure rate in the NFL in week one. Now, the Vikings. They got some issues. I think of them as like a 500 team. They got lucky last year. They lost their turnover battle 3-0 to the Bucks. That's a tough way to win, that's for sure. They only had 41 yards rushing. They couldn't get Madison going in his first real start with Dalvin Cook out of the lineup. They just need to be better in the red zone. Kirk Cousins can kind of move them from 20 to 20, but they got to get better in the red zone. They got to stop turning the ball over if they want any chance to win this. And also, they gave up 27.7% pressures on dropbacks versus Tampa Bay. So they gave up the 11th highest pressure on Kirk Cousins, and now they're facing a team that can get some pressure. It's going to be a tough matchup for them. Also, Philadelphia held Justin Jefferson to 6 catches for 48 yards last year, which is pretty impressive. So that's just kind of a little preview of Thursday Night Football. Now it's time for bet number one. Here we go. It's one unit. TJ Hawkinson over 4.5 catches and under 58.5 at minus 107. So here we go. Let's talk about Hawkinson for a second. He has played 12 games with the Vikings, 10 yet last year in the regular season, one in the playoffs, and one so far this year. He has 78 receptions. That's right. That is averaging 6.5 catches per game. I only need 5. He's averaging 6.5. Last week in week one, he had 8 catches. Kirk Cousins just absolutely peppers him with targets. That's who he goes to, especially against a team like the Eagles. They get pressure. He's going to dump it to that tight end as quick as he can. The Eagles also just gave up 5 catches last week to tight end Hunter Henry. Goddard is better than Henry, I'm telling you right now. In last year's game, when they played each other, Hawkinson was not on the Vikings yet, but Irv Smith was the tight end, and he had 5 catches versus Philadelphia. Darius Slay and this Eagles defense, they're going to be focused on JJ. We know that. JJ's the man. They're going to also have to focus on Jordan Addison, who had a good first game as a rookie. So I just think this Eagles team, they're going to give up some catches to Hawkinson. He's going to get 8, 9 targets. That should easily get him to 5 catches. So I love Hawkinson to go over 4.5 catches. Now it's heavily juiced at like minus 160 or even higher on some books. So that's why I had to add the under 58.5. Obviously, it's an alt line. In 2022, primetime games unders went 36 and 22 and 1 at 61%. That's one trend, one angle. It's not the only reason I did it. But last year, this game had 31 points, as I just mentioned. Both offenses were a little shaky. We know Kirk Cousins on the road at prime time. He can struggle a little bit. I don't expect this Vikings offense, who looks like they struggle to run the ball, I don't expect them to just absolutely dominate this Philly defense, to be honest with you. I think the Eagles are going to get a lot of pressure on them, similar to last year, and I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to put up a ton of points. We could even get a 27-20 game, and that goes way under still at 47 points. And then I don't like what I saw from Jalen Hurts. He couldn't read the field last week, and obviously it's 1 week. He could change. He should improve. He can't really get much worse. But he needs to read the field better and just really find their identity again. You heard him after the game say, we need to find our identity, and part of that is because there's a new offensive coordinator. So I just can't imagine these two teams getting over 58.5 points. Even if we get a 30-27 game, it's still under 58.5. So that's just to reduce the juice, as I like to call it. So bet number one, Hawkinson over 4.5 catches and the under 58.5. Now, my last two bets are both only a half unit. Here we go. This is a beauty. You guys are going to love it. The kicker, Jake Elliott, over 1.5 field goals at minus 115. I'm not going to talk a lot. It's a kicker, guys. Okay, he's going to swing that right foot so well. No, that's not it. The Eagles' offense, I think they're going to take some time to gel, like I just talked about, which actually helps because last year they were so good, they punched everything into the end zone, it seemed like. They're going to move the ball on this Vikings defense that's not very good, but there's going to be times where they're going to stall out and they're going to need to kick a field goal. Jake Elliott, 4 field goals last week. That's right. I only need 2. That's all I got. That's the kicker prop. Half unit because it's a kicker, and I just felt like doing a half unit on it. If you want to go put a full unit, go for it. But Elliott over 1.5 field goals for the Eagles at minus 115. All right, my third and final bet for Thursday Night Football is Dallas, Texas Goddard, anytime touchdown at plus 210. It's going to be a half unit play, just like the kicker prop. Everybody and their mother knows that he had 0 catches and 0 targets last week. I get it. His catch total is still at 4.5 on the books this week. He is a stud if you don't know him. He will get involved. Devontae Smith was not involved at all in week 1 last year, and they made it a point after the game to talk about getting him involved. He had 80 receiving yards in week 2. Now, I don't care about his receiving yards, obviously, But if he can get 4, 5, 6 catches, all we need is one of those to be in the freaking end zone. The Vikings gave up 7 touchdowns to tight ends last season. He's got a decent matchup. I like Goddard to have a chance to get in the end zone at plus 210. That one, Jake Elliott over 1.5 field goals, and the Hawkinson over 4.5 catches and under 58.5 are my three best bets for Thursday night football. Now it's time, baby, for NFL Week 2 best bets, and we kick it off with my co-host Ryan.
My first best bet takes us to Cincy, where the Ravens are taking on the Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals minus 3.5, over under 46.5 points. My best bet in this game is going to be taking the under at 46.5 points at minus 110. Both offenses struggled. Joe Burrow, 14 to 31, 82 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Chemistry was an issue. Obviously, coming back from the injury, maybe he's not fully healthy. The rain, obviously, in last week's game for the Bengals doesn't help, but I mean, 82 yards? Come on, that's really, really bad. And now the Ravens. The Houston Texans actually had more yards than the Baltimore Ravens last week. And now the Ravens in this game are going to potentially be without two offensive linemen, one with a sprained knee, one or sprained leg, and another with a sprained ankle. J.K. Dobbins done for the year with an Achilles, and Mark Andrews. Not 100% sure if he's going to be back for this game. Even if he is, he's coming back from a quad injury. So that does not bode well for offenses trying to score a lot of points. Last year, when the Bengals played the Ravens, the totals were 36, 43, and 41. I know two of those games, Lamar Jackson wasn't there. Huntley, though, isn't a bad quarterback, and they still couldn't get it. And then the last thing, divisional unders. They hit at a very decent clip. And these two teams, they know each other well, play it close to the chest, and just love to beat each other up. So my first bet in this is going to be the under 46.5 at minus 110. Let's go check out bet number 2. We are going to Tennessee, where the Chargers are taking on the Titans. Chargers minus 3, over under 45.5 points. Now, my best bet in this game is going to be the Chargers minus 3 at minus 115. This Tennessee offense just, they're not explosive enough to keep up with the Chargers, in my opinion. Ryan Tannehill is an average to below average quarterback, and last week he showed the below average. I mean, 28.8 rating, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. Man, he really, really struggled against the Saints. The Chargers offense or defense, excuse me. Yeah, I know they gave up a lot to Tua and the Dolphins, but Tua, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, they just got a bunch of weapons and just so explosive. The Titans, man, they rely on Derrick Henry and in that ground game. And the Chargers last year, they struggled with run defense. This first game against the Dolphins, 70 yards. That's all they gave up at 3.5 yards per carry. So they did pretty decent. So if you're expecting Ryan Tannehill and an aging DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry to keep up with this Chargers offense, I just don't see it. Don't see it at all. The Tennessee Titans last week, they gave up 305 yards passing at 9.2 yards per attempt and 1 touchdown against Derek Carr and the Saints. The Chargers, they have more weapons. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler out of the backfield, Gerald Everett. I mean, Justin Herbert has weapons to really put up some decent numbers and really just keep this offense a humming. Herbert last week, 228 yards, a touchdown, and a quarterback rating of 99.1. So way better than Ryan Tannehill. And I know the Tennessee Titans have a good run defense, but just to keep it balanced, the Chargers last week had 2 ball carriers to go over 90 yards. I mean, that is impressive. So when you're trying to figure out, are they going to run? Are they going to pass? And just have all those weapons, I can really see the Tennessee Titans struggling to contain this Chargers offense. So I don't even see it really being close. So -3 at a minus 115 is going to be my best bet. Let's lock that one in. Steven, let's go take a look at your bets.
All right, now it's my turn. Bet number 1 is a 6-point teaser, baby. Here we go. The Bills minus 2.5 and the 49ers minus 1.5. That's right. Let's start out with the Bills minus 2.5. They are at home against the Raiders. And by the way, if you don't know what a teaser is, this is a 6-point teaser. So the original line is 8.5. I'm taking it down to 2.5, crossing all the key numbers 7, 6, 4, 3. The Bills only have to win by 3 or more points. That's right. If the Bills can't beat the Raiders at home by 3 or more points, they have some serious freaking issues. I'll say that. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be pissed off after what happened against the Jets. Here's some matchup. Let's talk about this. So the Raiders pretty much have no pass rushers other than Max Crosby. Last week, they had the third lowest pressure rate on quarterbacks at 10.8%. That is not good. If you're not going to get to Josh Allen, he's going to sit there and pick you apart, hopefully not throw interceptions. But I don't see that happening because the Raiders last season, and they're not much different this year, they had 6 interceptions all of last season. That is tied for the absolute lowest in the league. So they don't create a lot of turnovers, even though Josh Allen likes to throw to the other team quite a bit. By the way, Josh Allen is absolutely regressing. I don't know if he needs to stop dating celebrities or something, but he is getting worse. He is making dumb decisions. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully, he figures out is it out for all those Bills fans that need the Super Bowl win. But as my notes say right here, Allen needs to pull his head out of his ass. Yes, he does. All he needs to do is play decent in this game, guys. So they should easily beat the Raiders by 3 or more points. Jimmy G is nothing impressive. Even though they won 17-16 against a bad Broncos team, I didn't see anything that just was super impressive. So I like the Bills to handle their business there in Buffalo and win by 3 or more points because that's all I need. So that's the first leg. The second leg is the 49ers minus 1.5 at the Rams. Now, we talked about this in the trends. Shanahan owns McVay 9-3 straight up and against the spread versus Sean McVay. Stafford, okay, as a Seahawk fan, he's not going to have all day like he just had. Trust me. He had all freaking day to throw. We made life so easy on him. As we talked about, the Seahawks got like no pressure on him last week. They were one of the 3 lowest pressure rates in the league. And it's not just because the Rams O line was elite. They're not elite. They might be decent, but they're not elite. The 49ers last week, 46.2% pressure rate, the second best in all of football. And that's not a fluke. We know they can. With Bosa and those boys, we know they have an elite defensive line. I think they're going to absolutely dominate the line of scrimmage. This Rams team is not as good as you see in week 1. For those of you that didn't watch it, that was the Seahawks sucking. The Rams did play well, but with no Cooper Cup still, they don't have the weapons. The roster for the 49ers is just way better than the Rams right now. So I think the Niners win by 7+ points, but all I need is for them to win by 2. So Niners to win by 2 or more, Bills to win by 3 or more. Put those two together in a teaser, you get minus 120. And now it is time, baby, for the 1.5 unit play of the week. All right, let's go. It is time for the 1.5 unit play of the week. It is between the Seahawks and the Lions. Lions minus 5.5, over under of 47.5 points. I'm sure you think I'm going Seahawks because I'm a Seahawk fan. I'm not even going either team on the spread. Here we go. Best bet Lions team total over 26.5 points at minus 110. Last season, no team in NFL football scored more points at home than the Lions. Think about that for a second. 33.1 points per game at home. Jared Goff, if you follow him, you know he is better in a dome and inside than he is outdoors. 66.5 completion percentage in a dome, 62% outdoors, and QBR rating. QBR is better, all that kind of stuff. Goff plays better at home. Now, here's the matchup. This is the big reason why I like it. I'm a big guy when it comes to the trenches and talking about who has the advantage there. The Seahawks, we just mentioned it earlier, one of the worst teams at getting or one of the worst teams in the NFL at getting pressure on the quarterback. And I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think week 1 was a fluke. I watched them last year. I know who's on their D line. It's not going to get that much better. 7.7% pressure rate on dropbacks last week. That is so incredibly bad. Last season they had a 20% pressure rate, so that's not very good. But last week, 31st in the NFL. I mean, now they're going up against the Lions, who are one of the best offensive lines in the entire NFL. That's right. Guess who gave up the lowest sack percentage last year? The Lions. That's right. 2.8% of dropbacks were sacks last year. That's how good their O line is. And I think they're going to be just as good this year. They already showed it earlier in week 1. The Rams just put up 30 points on us, guys. The Rams with no Cooper Cup. That's right. No Cooper Cup, 30 freaking points. And 426 yards on us, which isn't pretty. I'm not understanding why this line is 26.5. I thought for sure it'd be at least 27.5, 28.5. Those are key numbers right there. A lot of teams can't end on 27, but all I need is 27 out of the Lions. I can see them having 20 at halftime. I want to be honest with you. Hopefully the Seahawks score a lot too to keep up with them and make them keep having to throw it and score. But the Lions and Jared Goff are not going to have much pressure on them at all in the backfield. He's going to pick us apart just like Stafford did last week. So I love the Lions team total over 26.5 points at minus 110 as my play of the week. 1.5 units, baby. Lock that sucker in. And now it's time for me to get my revenge versus Ryan, and it's the head-to-head matchup. Dun, 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 dun. That's right, baby. It is time for the head-to-head matchup. I am 0-1. Ryan beat me last week, barely. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm still mad about it. But we got a good head-to-head matchup here, and it's a great game that we are betting on. It is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Houston Texans. I have the Texans +1. Ryan is taking the Colts -1. Ryan, you got the floor. Tell me why the Colts are going to win this.
Coming out, Anthony Richardson. I mean, he showed a lot to me against the Jaguars last week. Running the ball, throwing the ball. He wasn't scared of the moment. None of that. Threw the ball well. Michael Pittman for the Colts. He should have a good game against the Texans. The Texans struggled last week against Zay Flowers in the slot. Michael Pittman was in the slot. He had like 8 or 9 targets, receptions type thing. Huge factor. The defense for the Colts scares me a little. The defense for the Texans is pretty decent as well. But Anthony Richardson, I think, is just going to be a game changer, and he's going to just kind of continue to develop and scare it. He almost brought the Colts back in the Jaguars game. That he almost covered the spread. I thought they were going to punch it in. They didn't. So now they're facing a much worse team in the Houston Texans. So an easy victory. Go 2-0. Can't wait with the -1 for the Colts.
That's you got.
That's what
All
I
right.
got.
I think that first game that Anthony Richardson's played, we're going to look back on this in like a month or two and say that was one of his better games he played this year, honestly, because he is now on the road for his first game. In his NFL career, he is on the road. I know it's the Houston Texans, but I'm here to tell you guys the Houston Texans are not a bad defense. They are not. They were a top 10 pass defense last year. They improved this year, and they stymied Lamar Jackson. Yes, they gave up a few catches to Zay Flowers, but overall, they absolutely stymied that offense in Baltimore, and Baltimore is a better offense. It was 7-6 at halftime. The final score did not tell that game at all, guys. It was just the Texans struggling to get touchdowns in the red zone. They kept kicking field goals, and the Ravens were able to punch it in a few times at the very end. It was 268 yards to 265, and I don't think it's a fluke. This Texans team plays hard. They got some pass rushers. They can defend the pass pretty well. And the only thing they might struggle with is the run defense, like we talked about. The Colts don't really have a running game, guys. They just don't. Other than maybe Anthony Richardson running himself, that's all they got. They don't have Jonathan Taylor running for 150 yards a game. It's just not pretty. Also, Richardson is actually hobbled. He's hurt. He's probably going to play. And that brings me to my next point. I freaking hope he plays, because if Gardner Minshew was the quarterback this game, I'm not touching it. I'm going to be honest. Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback right now than Anthony Richardson. I want him to play his first road game. I also like the Colts team total under 19.5. I almost made it a best bet. If you can get under 20.5, that would be huge. I think the Texans stymie him. I think we see Anthony Richardson's rookie struggles in week number 2. It's a rookie, guys. He's not going to just be consistent every week. We all know that. Give me the Texans +1. I don't need the 1. The Texans are going to win. The wrong team is favored in this game, baby. That's right. Give me the Houston Texans. Man, did we just talk Texans and Colts? How exciting is that?
Sure did. That's a hard game to talk about, but division game, 2 rookie quarterbacks. One of these rookie quarterbacks is going to get a win, and it's going to be Anthony Richardson.
Yep, that's right. I think Stroud gets it done. He's an Ohio State Buckeye, so he has to. Leave a comment below, guys. First, put Team Steven or Team Ryan. We want to see that. We want to see whose side you're on. But also, let us know what we should do as the loser this week. Should we do the gritty on camera? Maybe some flossing. Is the floss dance a little old now? Is that a little old school? I don't know what it is. Or any other idea. We'd love to hear some good ideas. Make it reasonable. Okay? Just make it reasonable. That's all we ask. Put Team Steven or Team Ryan. Let's have another fun head-to-head matchup. No giveaway this week, but we will have a giveaway again. Don't you worry. So that's the head-to-head matchup. Go Texans, go Texans, go Texans, baby. All right, that's it. Let's check out that bets recap page. All right, there we go. NFL Week 2. And by the way, if I have any added bets at all, it will be in the Discord. It will be in the pinned comments below. There might be some that I'm still looking at, and we're going to have a ton of player props soon. But Thursday Night Football, the trifecta, Hawkinson in the under, Elliott over 1.5 field goals, Goddard anytime TD, the Jabbo play of the week, baby, for 1.5 units. Lions team total over 26.5 points. And then the teaser with the Bills and the Niners. Ryan goes under 46.5 in the divisional matchup between Baltimore and Cincy at -110. And then the Chargers, Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley, that head coach, at Tennessee to win by more than 3 points. In the head-to-head, Texans +1 for me, Colts -1 for Ryan. It's time for me to go 1-1, guys, and start my winning streak against them. But, man, that was a lot of fun. I love football. This is fun to talk about. Thank you guys for the support. Be sure to stay tuned for that Saturday morning NFL player prop video. And like I said, I'll probably have another NFL best bet on the game bets also. I'll put it in the Discord. I'm ready for football, baby. It's that time. I'll put some college football bets that I like and leans in the Discord as well. So, no baseball video for Thursday games, as you guys know already. We will be back for Friday. Thank you again for the support. Leave some comments below. Let's crush week 2. We'll talk to you later.